Hi everybody! Today I thought I'd start working on this guy here, this wizard, and he is from the Christine Karron Wildflower folk book. If you watched my last video where I showed you how to colour the white flowers, I did mention that I had plans for this guy, so here we are, these are my plans for this guy. And I thought, to start with, Amazon Prime Day has just been and gone, and I managed to get myself the Amazon premium coloured pencils. Now there's only 48, so it might be a bit of a challenge doing this picture, but I thought I'd try out these pencils. All I've done so far is just swatch them. You can see there. It's not a brilliantly filled out swatch sheet. I was just doing it really quickly before I started filming, but those are all the colours that we get. And first impressions, I was kind of disappointed that there isn't much difference between the two kind of skin tone light skin tone colours there. There's not much difference at all, even very towards the right on those little swatches there. That's like pressing the hardest, the most layers, so there's not really that much difference. So that kind of disappointed me a little bit, and the colours are quite bright. So I'm hoping I'll be able to use them and kind of test them out, see how they go. And as I said, we'll be using them on this wizard guy here. And my plan for him, as I said I did have a plan, is to turn him into Rincewind, the wizard from Terry Pratchett's Discworld books, because these stars on his hat just reminded me of Rincewind with his red hat and all the glitter and sequins and stars on it. And Rincewind does actually have wizard written on his hat, and that was actually on this ribbon down here, which also kind of reminded me of it. But any Terry Pratchett readers out there will notice I have actually added another Z, because that's how Rincewind does spell it. So I've added my other little Z just with the pencil and fixed it. So hopefully I'll be able to work on top of that. But yeah, he needed his second Z. So as I am going for Rincewind, he's going to be having a red hat, red robe with kind of gold trim. He's going to have brown hair, and that's as far as I've gotten with plans for this picture. So anybody has any suggestions how to do the owl, I don't know. Otherwise I'll just go with whatever seems right at the time. And yeah, basically today I wanted to maybe try out his skin and his hair, but first of all do the rest of the marker basing on the things that I've decided, and we'll go from there. So here we go, let's get ready to start. I might probably cut out the marker basing, as I've said many times before. It's not the most exciting thing to watch. As you can see, I've already done his face and his hands for his skin there, and that one was with this one from the Ohuhu Markers skin tone set, WG140 Warm Grey. I thought I'd try and stay away from the more peachier tones in there, because there's only the two skin colours that I've got, and neither of them are very different. So I thought I'd maybe be shading in with more of the brown sort of colours, maybe bringing in the purple, because being Christine Karron, she likes to use the more dramatic colours in her skin tone, so I thought I'd take a leaf out of her book and maybe try it out. But all of this is going to be totally new territory for me, because I've only just gotten these pencils and not tried them out before. But yeah, that's the marker that I shaded his skin with. His hat and his robe is going to be R12, that's Rose Bouvard, however you say that, Rose Bouvard, R12. For the areas where I'm going to try and make them gold, what I like to do is shade them first with, or put a base first with Y7 as dull yellow. These are just from the normal Ohuhu set, by the way. The first one, skin tone, was from the skin tone set. These are just from the normal set. That's Y7 dull yellow. I'm going to be putting that where I want the gold to be. And usually when I do that, I shade it with Castle Arts gold, but obviously I'm not going to be able to this time, so I'll try and figure out how to do that. This set of pencils did actually come with a gold pencil, but I think it might be a little bit flat if I just shade it all with the gold pencil. So I'm going to try and get some sort of gold tone going with the Amazon Basic pencils. And for his hair and his beard, I'm going to start it with Y11, and I might end up adding a little bit of grey with the pencils as I go, because Rincewind's described as being various ages throughout the books, so he starts off fairly young, I think, and towards the end he's kind of middle-aged, 40s, 50s, so I'm just going to go with brown for a base and we'll see how we go. And I'll catch up with you when I've added all the marker base. Okay, there we are. I've just gone ahead and filled in most of the marker base that I can actually commit to at the moment. As I've said before, I don't come in with a full plan for any picture that I'm doing, to be honest. My main idea is to have this guy be Rincewind and to have the red robe and the brown hair, and that's about all. I missed a bit of his skin there, so I'll just fill that in. But yeah, that's about the only plan that I've actually got. So we're going to just wing it and see how we go. Give these pencils a good old try out. And just to point out that I did make a little bit of a mistake here with the red marker. I carried on a little bit higher than I should have there. But what I'm planning to do with the background is to come in with watercolours, see if I can make those work on this paper and give him a bit of a dark blue kind of galaxy style background stars. So I think that will fit in quite well with the theme. So that shouldn't really be too much of a problem. I'll just start it down there and black out all those marker marks that shouldn't be there. Okay, so as to where we start now. Usually I like to start with the skin. And as I said before, I've tried to stay away from the peachy tones with his skin because that doesn't really suit his character for a start. And I thought it would be a bit harder to shade onto with there being so little difference in the peachy kind of skin tones. So I'm going to try, first of all, shading him with a little bit of brown and brown ochre. And as I suggested before, I might try and bring in a little bit of purple for his shadows, because I've looked at Christine Karron's art for this picture, and she has like a yellow glow from this staff here. So I'm going to try and make my lighting yellow, picking out a few little bits of yellow light, and the purple shadows would contrast quite nicely with that. I might try and bring in a little bit of the red on his face, as soon as that works so nicely with the other Christine Karron picture that I tried. So for now I've picked out these colours to see what we can get going. And I'll pick out the white to see how well that works for blending, because as I said, I haven't tried. So I do have the white polychromos as a standby in case it doesn't work. And if any of these pencils, if I don't like how they're working, I will just bring in the Arteezer as a bit of a backup. But I thought I'd use him to give these pencils a bit of a try and see what we can make out of it. So, all right, these are the colours that I've picked out to maybe try and start shading his skin. I haven't made myself a colour combo for colouring skin out of these yet. As I said, I only received them a couple of days ago. All I've done with them so far is fill out that swatch sheet, so it's all new to me. This will be the first time I'm trying this. We're just going to see how it goes. If it works, then yay, that's great. I'll write it down and remember it. If it doesn't, we'll know not to use it. But these are the colours that I've picked out anyways. There's Vandyke Brown, 563, Brown Ochre, 556, Blush, 518. I may try and use a tiny little bit of the red. We'll see how it works. That's red, 510, and that's the white, 501, to try a little bit of blending. There is a kind of creamy colour, it's called Sand, so I might bring that in, but I'm going to go in with these first and see how we go. I might start with the blush. That'll be the lightest, just to see how these pencils work on the paper. Well, I'm not entirely sure this will actually show up. A couple of them were a little bit scratchy when I was making that kind of swatch chart, so fingers crossed that's just because it was on printer paper and not on nice paper, so it's fine just for a record of the colours, I think. And this is looking, it's one of those that I'm not exactly sure will be showing up on camera, but I'm just working in the very basics of my shadows like I usually do at first, and I go in and work on top of them with the darker colours. And I did say, didn't I, that I would try and use purple. Let's see. There we go. There's the purple, 528. We'll see how that works. Again, with the red, I don't know. But with any of the two kind of light skin colours, we might have to be a little bit creative with this. But the pencil set was super cheap on Amazon Prime Day. I think it was like £5 or £6 for the 42 set. So I thought, well, it's worth a try for that price. And this was the guy I settled on for trying them out because I had plans for him. And as I've said, I have a surplus of inspiration at the moment. So many ideas I want to colour in pictures. So when I saw this guy, I immediately thought of Rincewind from the Discworld. You know how it is when you get an idea set in your head. It just won't leave you alone until you get out and do it. So here we are actually doing it. as a tribute to the late great Sir Terry. Here, colouring Rincewind. As close as I can get it, anyway. I think this guy looks slightly a bit too dignified to be Rincewind, but we're going to go with it. And at least colour him the same colours. And the owl, yeah, I'm not entirely sure how to do the owl, whether to make it a realistic owl. I was toying with the idea of making it kind of brown and green. I don't know. Alright, that's most of the first layer of the darker peach colour. What's that called? Blush, that's called. First layer of blush onto his face. Interesting to see how many different layers we can make with these pencils. This is the brown ochre. Going in to give a second layer on these shadows. I've gone in a little bit too dark there. This guy does seem to have like a weather-beaten face. Poor Rincewind spends most of his time outside anyway. I think he'd much rather be inside studying with his books, but he keeps randomly falling into these weird adventures, so he is out in the sun a lot more than your average wizard, I think. And like with the other Christine Karron image, she does use a little bit of grayscale shading, so it's quite easy to figure out where your shadows are going to go, where your light's coming from and stuff like that. And for this one, the light, well, most of the light is coming from this staff, which is lit up kind of yellowish. I might try and use that and have a bit of experiment. Put some light glow onto his hands. Hoping that might work. I think I might need to go over that with the blush again. I've been a bit too enthusiastic with my brown. Let's blend that in. Well, we do have the darker brown. That's vandyke brown that I'm going to use on my shadows, so that might help to even it out slightly. And that's not too bad. I'm not exactly sure what colour eyes Rincewind has, to be honest with you. Can't really remember if they're blue. We might make them blue anyway. Try and make that owl white. My background's going to be pretty dark. But yeah, any ideas for that? Give me a suggestion and I'll try it. But he's not a very realistic little owl, is he? So he could technically be anything, especially when the magic is involved. Shall we see? Alright, let's try very, very lightly with this red. Yeah, it's just called red. It's not what I can do that. I'll try bringing in the purple. But yeah, just playing about at the moment. This isn't one where I've practiced and sorted out everything to be nice and easy. Let's try the purple. Be brave. Oh, now getting a little bit difficult to start putting layers down now. Maybe this purple will actually work. On the actual artwork, Christine's actual work, there is purple in the shadows. But Christine Karron does tend to use more bold colours in her skin tones, which I find is really nice. It does kind of make me feel that I can be a bit bolder with my choice of colours. Let's see how well this white blends. Not terribly, actually. It's not bad. I do need to bring in more of the, maybe more of a pink. He's going to end up using all of the colours on his face. I can see it happening. Probably need to be bringing the vandyke brown, be a bit more bolder with my shadows, I think. Because we do have some pretty, if the light is going to be coming from that staff, we do have some pretty bold shadows. But that his hair is actually going to be brown as well, so you can bring my vandyke brown there. His cheeks, make his cheeks kind of look pretty prominent. He's looking a bit more wizened than I actually wanted him to be, but it's all good. Rincewind's had a hard life. We'll put it that way, we'll explain it that way. Poor guy has had a hard life. We are drawing very close to the maximum amount of layers we can get going here, I think. So we want to leave some of the lighter areas because I'm going to try and bring in the yellow glow from the staff in the original painting. Reflects up onto his cheeks there a little bit, so I want to make sure there is a lighter area to bring in a little bit of yellow. Try this lemon yellow. I haven't actually sharpened this one yet. Just so I like the glow on his cheeks there. Still not happy with how dark these shadows are. for his hair, I'm following the lines that Christine has put down there. Maybe we need to put the purple work there. Yeah, purple is working a bit better for shadows now we've added that yellow. I'm not going for realism here. I'm going for having fun and testing out the pencils, so if this works, that's amazing. If it doesn't, I'm not entirely distressed and put out. Brown ochre. Not sure if I've gone a little too crazy with my shading there, but let's roll with it for now. Let's see what we can do on the other side of his face. Sticking with the brown ochre, as we've already done our first layer of shadow. Yeah, these pencils don't layer as much as the Castle Arts and the Arteza. I'll say that. Although for Pratchett pencils, yeah, definitely not bad at all. There is a few, as I said, that were a little bit scratchy when I was making the swatch chart earlier this morning. That was mainly blues, but this is a pretty blue heavy set actually. I think I counted there's about 8 blues in it. There's only like 3 or 4 reds, so it'll be interesting trying to make his hat look red. But and yeah, the two very, very similar light skin tones. Which is why we're improvising with the browns. Purple. Try with pink. What's it called? Yeah, it's just called pink. Okay, let's mark in that lemon yellow. And the light will be hitting his cheeks. Maybe it's slightly different position than the other side, but just to remind me where it actually goes. There goes the neighbours. Yeah, he would. His face would be in quite a lot of shadow, wouldn't it, if the light was coming from down there. Make sure this part of his face here would be quite well lit up, I suppose. And make sure we keep it fairly light down there. Did bring in red, didn't I? The blending is not going to be amazing. These are not the best, but I can't even tell, to be honest, if they're oil or wax. They feel more kind of oily. Yeah, not as many layers. Definitely not as many layers as I would have liked to get out of that, I think. I think I can make it work. Can always make it work. But as I've said, this is, as I said, a bit of an experiment. Probably shouldn't have picked such a nice book, but you can't be scared of the books. If you've got really nice books, you can't be scared to use them. That's just beside the point of buying them, isn't it? You don't buy them just to sit on the shelf. Although some of them you can just use as art books and look at them. But we buy them to colour in them, so you can't really be scared. Let's bring in the purple. And putting purple on her face, that really does help you not be so scared. Once you can do that, yeah, there's not much you can't do, really. I really do love the way that Christine paints her faces. She uses the most amazing colours that you never would have thought to use on a face or on skin. And it just all comes together so well. Back to the blush. Trying to make each side of his face look pretty similar, because if the light is coming from underneath both areas, both sides of his face should be kind of equally lit, really, so... But yeah, it seems these pencils definitely more suited to more rougher paper, I think. This paper is fairly smooth, so Arteza I found worked really well. I would guess Prismacolor would really love it. I really do want to try using my super tips as watercolors and seeing how that would work. Because it works pretty well on Blue Angel paper. It works in the Jasmine Beckett Griffiths books I found, so and I do love using it. So I would say I'm not brave enough to try it, but here I am using purple and red on this poor guy's face and saying I'm not brave enough. That doesn't really make sense, does it? But yeah, that's starting to work. That works pretty well now, I think. Now the yellow light is in, that purple shadow is going quite well. Let's add a bit more yellow down. This is the lemon yellow, and the way it is in the original art is along these edges of his fingers. I can't look at the reference while I'm colouring because I'm filming with my tablet. I don't have a mobile phone. I'm filming with my tablet, and my PC is a desktop, so that's actually behind me. So I can't look at the... I can't really look at the original while I'm colouring, so I'm just going with the memory of it from when I looked it up. I'm hoping it looks something similar. I think it does. Oh, let's go straight in with the purple. Let's be brave. We have got a lot of that yellow light down here, which would be making a more cooler purple kind of tone shadows. Going a lot quicker than I thought actually. It's a fairly small picture though. I probably will split this into 2 parts though, at least. If nothing else, to give you guys a chance to tell me what colour I should do this. I'll maybe even 3 parts if I do the background on its own little part. I haven't done a watercolour galaxy background for quite a while actually. That should be quite fun. I know I fit in. Rincewind did. In Colour of Magic, he did end up getting shot off the edge of the Discworld, so out into space technically. So it should probably fit in with him quite well. And there I go, kind of getting distracted and going back up to his face. But I do that a lot while I'm colouring. It does stop you from getting bored. But yeah, I apologise for not being organised. I really do try sometimes, but yeah, being organised is definitely not part of my personality, I don't think. Plans are usually vague, if I have any at all. And we go with what happens. Go with the flow, best way to be. Just work with what happens. Work with any happy accidents. We have one already. We have one there, as I pointed out earlier. Which just kind of cemented my plans for the background, because I was in kind of 2 minds. Whether to give him a subtle background, or no background even, maybe. But yeah, that kind of cemented it when I made a bit of a mistake. And we need to work with that now, so galaxy background it is. Which would probably work better than anything else I could have figured out. That's the way it happens, I think. Happy accidents like that. That's kind of how it works, isn't it? The whole... Oh, idea, you just go with what happens. It makes you learn how to adapt as well, which is also pretty good. Okay, and then the side of his face. It's definitely not as good at blending as the polychromos. It feels harder than the polychromos. So yeah, I don't think I'll be giving up my my Artisans or my Castle Arts for these pencils, but yeah, it's worth a try, especially for such a nice price. And we can always come up with something. Okay, vandyke brownness. Let's get distracted again and move on to his beard. I'm not trying to give a precise colour along step by step. It's more like a process thing. Like a stream of conscience, sort of. Sort this beard out. Be quite dark behind his hands, I would imagine. Not going for realism again. The design itself is pretty sketchy, and obviously Rincewind is not a real character anyway. He's not a real person. He's a character from a book, so I'm not going super much for realism. Which is probably a good thing, because realism kind of stresses me out most of the time. Going for kind of hyper-realism stresses me out, you know. I try and work somewhat realistic, but more towards the stylized, I think my style is most of the time. It's not very often, to be completely honest, I look up reference. I just do this for fun. How it turns out is how it turns out. If it looks vaguely similar to what it's supposed to be, then I consider that a victory. Let white show up on top of the... you know. Quite nicely. We need to bring in the black here a little bit. We shall see. I'll try pressing, putting some more pressure on it, see what kind of colour we get there. I did say maybe I would bring in some grey, didn't I? That could be something to think about for later on, because I've gotten distracted again. Oh my word, I'm supposed to be doing this again. It's going to be pretty light, especially down there, I suppose. Maybe it would be quite dark shadows cast behind it, I'm guessing. So I might need to bring in the black there as well, but I'll leave these hands pretty light for now, because they are close to our glowing staff, which we might be able to look glowing. try blending that with the white maybe. Let's see. Probably bring in the white gel pen. Keep these hands light, but I do want to add quite a bit of contrast to them because they are close to us, and I want to bring in these purple shadows because they are close to the yellow light source. Get some nice purple and yellow contrast going on. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she used purple in the picture that I looked at. That was purple. But he was more of a natural kind of wizard with a green robe. Let's see. Put a few highlights on here. That's not exactly how Christine Karron did it. Just to give kind of idea where my highlights would be. So yeah, this one, I'm not going quite as realistic as I tried to go with the strawberry lady. That one definitely seemed to need being realistic. This one not so much, I don't think. It's just a little practice piece. Yeah, kind of a practice piece figuring out colour combinations and stuff, I think. You know, I quite like that purple. Weirdly enough, I really like the way that purple works against the yellow. I'm liking that. Yeah, I'm liking that. I've no idea what colour to do with his eyes. Maybe blue. I love this expression he's got. Kind of looks a bit done with it all. And if he is Rincewind, then yes, that would make total sense. Most of the time, that guy just seems, yeah, pretty done. He just wants to get on with his life. Have some nice things happen to him. But no, it never seems to, poor guy. You gotta feel sorry for him. And the fact that he can't really do much magic anymore because he's got like a really super strong spell is kind of stuck in his head. And I think it's that spell that keeps him alive most of the time. All the situations he gets into. He's got one of this super strong spell stuck in his head, so basically there's no room for any other magic. So he's like, he's either a great wizard or a really bad wizard. It's really hard to say. But yeah, he's pretty awesome. The whole point of him like writing wizard on his hat and all that kind of stuff is to like prove to himself that he is a wizard, even though he can't really use the magic. or Rincewind. There are some great characters in the Discworld novels. I think Rincewind is one of my favourites. Okay, back to the hands. Let's focus. Not my strong point, focusing. Or talking, really. If I do kind of forget I'm filming, get too into it, and lapse into silence, I'll try turning into a speed colour or something. But I want to try, you know, showing each colour as I use it, and hopefully if anyone does want to follow along, that can be available. Or we may end up with a series of speed colours, depending on how long this takes. But it isn't taking too long, actually. It's pretty relaxing. It's pretty chill, to be. I'm really. Sounds odd, but I think doing that first picture in the book has really kind of put me at ease with it. So I'm really not that bothered so much anymore. So yeah, this might not work. It's an experiment we're testing out. We're doing purple on his beard now, which is really not a colour that normally gets put into beards, but yeah, I think just jumping in and doing that first picture has helped me to not be as precious about the book, even though it's still a gorgeous book and I still really like it. I still don't really want to mess up. I feel a lot more relaxed about it now. I might be getting a bit too mad with that purple now. Oh well. Oh, where was I? These hands are shaded already, so I'm just following the path where the shading already is. Seems working quite well. I want quite dark shadows on these hands because they are close to us, so I need the most contrast. Let's bring in more purple. What is this called? Oh, it is called purple. Bring in more of the purple. Really make that purple stand out against the yellow to give us that contrast, to bring the hands closer to us. Okay, back to the vandyke brown. Yep, vandyke brown. I will probably end up making a speed colour of the whole colouring of this. Maybe one part, maybe more, because it is going faster than I would have thought. And there aren't that many colours to keep bringing forward to say I'm using them. There aren't that many colours. So far anyway, we'll have to see when we get to his this robe because there aren't that many reds. I forgot to do his nails with the skin colour. How did I do that now? I brought the white, didn't I? But you will see that this kind of red I've used as a base for his hat, and his robe, it's kind of pinky sort of red, Rose Bouvard, or I'm sorry I can't pronounce the name of that colour, but yeah, that colour is very pinky, kind of pale. The idea there is that his hat's all kind of worn and sun bleached and yeah, kind of wearing out, because that's kind of true to the character in the book. And it's going, I'm not sure if I'm going to put glitter on it. Some stickers, I know I've got some star stickers that will work really well, that I've used in a couple of pictures up till now. But yeah, there's lots of glitter and sequins and loads of stuff like that on Rincewind's hat, so I might really glitz his hat up. And maybe his robes. I'm hoping I can get this gold colour going with this little supply of pencils. I want to keep to just the 48 if I can, just to take a lot of pressure off, really. I think I've mentioned it before, but I do like to just take a very small selection of pencils sometimes, because it takes a lot of worry out of thinking up colours to do stuff. When you've only got so many colours, there's not that much choice and you don't get so bogged down in the details. That's the way I look at it. I like doing limited colour palette challenges. I've done those quite a lot, and I have quite a few 12 sets of pencils, and sometimes I just like to pick one of the 12 sets of pencils. Did I put red on this? No, I didn't. Sometimes I like to pick just one of the 12 sets of pencils and see what I can get done with that. I find it really relaxing because it takes a lot of the decision making down to a bare minimum, which I find suits me. If I have a whole choice of 100, like 100 and odd, 120 set pencils, sometimes there's too much choice and you end up second guessing yourself. It's like, should I use this red or would that red work better? But you've only got 2 reds to choose from. It's a lot less hassle. Well, I'm hoping. I'm hoping that's the case. So far, yeah, I'm quite liking it. Oh, I like when you go over that red with the, what's it called? With the blush. It turns a nice pinky colour. I have to try and remember that. I don't want this finger's looking all black. Really dark. It's supposed to be quite light down here. I'll add a little bit of the gel pen onto his nails. I didn't blend with the white yet, so that should knock that down a little bit. It helps as well that this is kind of semi-grayscale, very light semi-grayscale, so that's another lot of just decisions about where to put shadows has been taken out of my hands and just letting it all become more kind of relaxed. Just trying to show my normal colouring process without getting, any pomp and ceremony into it. This is just the normal way I do things. Fairly chaotic, I will admit to that. Not organised, fairly chaotic. Just going for the have some fun with it factor. I'm definitely not trying to be perfect. I think that, to be honest, there's no such thing as perfect. However well you do something, there will always be that thought that, oh, I could have done that better. And that kind of goes against the fact that you're supposed to be having fun, you know? If you're worried about trying to get it perfect, I mean, yeah, do your best, get it looking as well you can, but don't stress out if it's not perfect, because nothing is ever perfect. What's happened to his hand there? Let's see what the white gel pen can do for us there. Again, this would be highlighted. I'm having to kind of make it up as I can't see the reference picture. That would also be lit, maybe there. I'm not entirely sure why his fingers look a different colour than his arm there. I didn't put any red down here. That could be because I didn't put any red down there. Of course. As usual, I'm just going to kind of play about until things look kind of how I wanted them to. At least somewhat similar to how I wanted them to. Not sure if I'll try and make this a whole colour along or maybe time lapse it a little bit. I'm not entirely sure. As with all my videos, there'll probably be a fair few gaps where I do stop talking, because once I start concentrating or getting into something, that's it. My brain just focuses and I forget to talk. So I do apologise if that happens. It probably has a few times up to now. There are a couple more colouring tags that I'm probably going to talk about for the next part or two, if it ends up going that far to another couple of parts. I'm not entirely happy with that arm, so bring out the eraser, big guns. Yeah, that's definitely better. It needs some yellow down there though. We'll just erase, we'll bring out the lemon yellow. Yep, lemon yellow. I am really liking this play against the purple and the yellow. As they're opposite colours on the colour wheel, so they're complementary colours. So they really bounce off each other quite nicely, I think. Not the most traditional combo for skin. This is going to be kind of glowy yellow, kind of orb on the top of the stuff there. I'm not sure I can use the term that Sir Terry himself used for what's on the end of a wizard staff. I'm not sure YouTube would like that too well. Oh yeah, adding a little bit more yellow onto his fingers there, that's really, yeah, really helped. That's getting there now. I don't want to go too dark with the brown because then his skin is looking a little bit muddy if I do that. Oh, that's quite nice. Going over with the white takes that purple down to a nice lavender colour. Not sure we actually have a lavender. Let me check. No, we have a lilac and a violet. We don't have a lavender. Lavender is a colour that I do like to use on skin. But I think that would usually be instead of the red. This one I'm being a bit more kind of experimental. Because there isn't many colours and because it's Christine Karron, her pictures might be a bit more forgiving. As she herself uses more unconventional colours. And the tiniest touch. Tiniest touch of white gel pen for a reflected light there on the other side. Those hands look like they're coming out towards us. I quite like the way that's turning out. Okay, we'll go on to his hair now. I'm going to stick with the Vandyke brown. I'm going to grab the black. And I think we have a warm grey. Yep. Let's see what we can do. I think I need to bring in a little bit of the black. The black is fairly decent black in this set, I will say that. It's fairly a deep black. Sometimes in the cheaper pencil sets you get a black that really isn't very pigmented and isn't much good for the actual purpose, but this one, yeah, I do like that. Let's see what the warm grey is like. Rincewind does appear some books to be middle-aged, some descriptions, sometimes young. So when the TV kind of adaptations were made, David Jason was the actor who played Rincewind. His beard and hair was actually grey, so I think they were going definitely there more towards the more middle-aged Rincewind. So I don't suppose a little bit of grey would make that much difference. It seems to be working. I think maybe we need the white. This bit here has worked quite well. And the purple is not exactly a colour you would really expect. But I'm thinking for the shadows, yeah. I've gone on about it a heck of a lot, haven't I? But I'm quite impressed. So far, yeah. I think I might be finishing this one off. Probably, actually. I'm liking it. Bring the black just to define that. A little bit of shadow here. Usually I try and go with the way things turn out, and it seems to be that this kind of goatee kind of part of the beard is standing out towards the light, and then we're kind of fading the rest of it back out. Again, I've gone a bit too dark. That's better. Yep, I do erase. Erasing is fine. There is no rules against it. I'm not trying to show that I'm perfect and I get everything right first time, because I don't. I really don't. I'm just trying to show my process and, you know, show you how I play with stuff to get it to work. Let's use the yellow. Really called yellow? Lemon yellow. Put that in down the side there. There we go, yeah, the front bit of his beard seems to be lighter. Don't know, it's fading out. Not sure that's how it's supposed to be. I'm not not an expert on beards. I don't colour many men, to be perfectly honest with you. I've only coloured like a couple before choosing it as this month's theme, so maybe it wasn't the best theme to be choosing. But it's been quite fun so far. Interesting, at least. Men's faces do seem to be shaded different than girls' faces. They tend to have more sharper, defined kind of features. Girls are more kind of softer and rounder. And the faces, like the cheeks are round like that instead of having the kind of shadow of the cheekbone there. The way I colour them anyways. I'm not saying every girl looks like that, because obviously every girl is different, but yeah, the way I colour girls is a lot different than the way I would colour boys, which has been interesting. Definitely interesting. And that's the whole point of having these kind of themes, to try and teach myself stuff, sort of expand my horizons. A lot of the time colour things that I wouldn't normally. Although next month is my birthday month, so I might be a little bit easier on myself and go for something that I would normally do. I'm thinking of maybe just having it as a colour your hoard month, to go into the books that I've got that I haven't really touched, I haven't finished any pages in. There are some that I've got whips in but no finished pages, and some that I haven't touched at all. I'll probably try and do it before I do that. At the end of this month, maybe beginning of August, do a video for all my untouched books. I know my partner is actually getting me some for my birthday. He's offered to get me a couple off my Amazon wish list, so I could choose which ones I'd most like to get. So I've chose a couple off my wish list and said those. Gone for those, so those will be two that I could colour into, hopefully. And I think I have mentioned before, but I'll be away. Probably the last 2 weeks of August, or the last week and a half of August, so there'll probably be a gap in my videos then, unless I can film some in advance to like schedule to come up while I'm away. There will probably be a couple of weeks where I'm actually not here because we're going up to visit my parents up in Wales, which will be nice. I only get to see them like once a year, if that, so we're going up to stay with them in a caravan at the seaside, so that'll be nice. Get away from it all for a while, from the daily grind for a little bit. That would be nice, but yeah, that will mean that my videos will have to be taking a back seat if I'm not actually at home to film. I'll try and get some stuff put up to actually come up while I'm away, but we'll have to see how work goes. How mad it is at work before I commit to actually saying anything for definite. I'll try. That's about all I can say at the moment. Oh, I like the way that the grey is coming on the ends of his hair. That's nice. That makes him look a little bit more dignified. Little Rincewind isn't terribly dignified, but that's kind of midway, I think. There we go. Use it as the shadows there. Yeah, I'm liking that now. I didn't think I would. I put that purple down and I thought my thought was, oh no. I have wrecked this and I'm filming. But yeah, I'm liking it, to be honest. I am liking it. Despite the little mistake that will be fixed. No telling how it will turn out once I get onto the owl. Maybe it should be a white owl. I don't know, with maybe tinges of green on the end of his feathers. I'm going to give the owl green eyes. I have decided that because the goddess of luck in Discworld, I think she has met Rincewind at one point, if I remember right. She has met Rincewind, and she's kind of, yeah, she's keeping her eye on him. So, probably why he gets all the bad luck. I don't know. She's not the goddess of good luck. She's like, I suppose like fate or something. Fate or fortune, something along those lines. Destiny, maybe. And she's keeping a special little eye on him, and she is about the only description that we have of her is she does have green eyes, like without a pupil, just totally green. I don't know if I'll be able to make it like that if I took some gouache paint maybe and greened them out, and then maybe doing a white owl with little bits of even a brown owl with little bits of green on the ends of his feathers, her feathers, to kind of represent the goddess whose name I totally can't remember right now. It's been a while since I read any Discworld, actually. I really need to get back into it. I do have loads of them. I think my favourite has to be soul music. If anybody out there who's read Terry Pratchett's soul music, yeah, definitely my favourite, the music with rocks in. But they're all so funny. But he does come out with some kind of pretty deep stuff every now and then, kind of disguised as comedy, which, yeah, it's kind of clever, really. Because he tends to, yeah, kind of some sort of subtle social commentary he likes to bring in every now and then, which I think is quite fun. And there's quite a few pop culture references, but kind of in a fantasy world kind of setting, which is quite funny. So yeah, if you don't read Terry Pratchett and you like kind of fantasy style novels, I would highly recommend them. Unfortunately, there won't be any more made because Sir Terry is no longer with us, but yeah, that's really sad because yeah, those books are kind of an institution really. This side of his head isn't going quite as well as the other side. I need to bring in some white highlights there, maybe. Do I? Yeah, I probably do. Why is that not looking the same? Let's try bringing in a bit more of this grey. Warm grey, this is called, this one. Oh, and before I forget, I will the swatch sheet in case anybody is interested. It's not specifically for the Amazon basic pencils. It's just one that had 48 slots on it that I got from DeviantArt that the creator said could be used for just for personal use, as long as she was credited, left her name on it and stuff. So I have done that, and I will link to it in the description, down in the description below, if anybody's interested in downloading that. They are free for personal use, as long as she's credited. So I think her name was Mystical Sparkle Wings, something like that. I will link it in the description. There weren't many that I could find that actually had 48 slots on. They were even really big, like 72 or 120, or they were like 36. So it's not very many with 48 slots. And the basic pencils didn't actually come with one. That's when they say basic, they mean it. Which is no slight to them. These are not terrible pencils. As I've said, a couple were a little bit scratchy. I think a couple of blues. The cerulean blue is quite scratchy. And maybe a couple of others, but none of the leads were broken. All fine. They seem to be sharpening pretty well, the ones that I've sharpened. Yeah, they definitely are pretty pigmented. I would say they don't tend to layer tremendously well. They're definitely not as soft as Arteza or Castle Arts. So they are like, yeah, kind of harder sort of pencil, but definitely not like Crayola or anything like that. Not that. Definitely softer than that. And the colours are pretty bright. Although I'm using them on top of a marker base, which is how I usually use my pencils these days. How I did the other Christine Karron picture. I'm just sharpening my white. You'll probably be able to hear that. But yeah, I did the other Christine Karron picture with marker base over most of it. Yeah, quite happy with how that's coming out. A lot more happy than I thought I would be. I didn't come in expecting a masterpiece though. I just wanted to test the pencils. And yeah, for £5 or £6, definitely not bad. Not amazing. But it's not a review video, I'm just bringing out my kind of thoughts. Let's bring out the lemon yellow. Yeah, a little bit of my thoughts. Definitely not a video to review them. I'll give an in-depth kind of yeah, discussion on the merits or otherwise. Just playing. And I'm sorry if I haven't said which pencils I'm actually picking up and using. Hopefully it's the film quality is good enough that you can actually see which ones I'm using. The ones that I told you I picked up, had in my hand. They're all fairly distinctive, I think. Maybe the brown and the grey and the black. But I think I was saying when I was using those ones. Alright, I'll just add a little tiny bit. Maybe highlights. His beard. Rincewind's beard is proper scraggly, so according to descriptions. So I'll try and make that kind of impression. This is black. Bending down those white lines there. And I might be calling it for today because it's been, including the marker basing, it's been a couple of hours, so that's my colouring session for the day. The video probably won't be a couple of hours because I'll be cutting out all the marker basing, because as I always say, it's not the most boring, it's not the most interesting thing to watch. It is pretty boring to watch just going over with marker. My marker basing isn't particularly smooth. You might be able to see it's, you can see lines and stuff in there, but I'll be going over it with the pencils. You can see on his face and his hair you can barely see any marker strokes by the time you finish colouring, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. I think maybe before we finish, maybe I'll do his eyeballs. Did I decide to go with blue? I'm not entirely sure what I decided to go with. This is silver grey, and how I usually do eyes, I mark in the shadow underneath the top eyelid, kind of around the edges with the grey. So you have to remember that the eye is a sphere, it's a ball, so you have to shape it as a sphere, lighter in the middle, darker around the edges. He's got his tear ducts there, which I'll do with the pink. Maybe add a little pink on the bottom there. I don't know. For the inner eyelid, I'm not exactly sure whether that would be visible, but we'll pop it in. And what colour eyes should we be giving him? Maybe a kind of hazely brown. I'm not entirely sure what colour eyes he does have, so this is moss green. Very light kind of layer of moss green. And brown ochre. It's kind of like the eyes I did for the other lady, but more hazel and less green, I think. So his pupils are very sketchy there, so I might take the black and just mark out his pupils a little bit better. Yep, I've made them solid black, but they're not going to stay like that. I usually, when I do eyes, add in a big highlight, a little highlight, and then sort of shine lines through where we put that kind of grey into the iris, and a dot for the tear duct, because those are usually pretty kind of shiny looking. And there we go. I think I'll leave him with those hazel eyes. I'm not entirely sure they're the right colour, but we're going to go with it. And that's where we'll leave it for today. I'll probably come back and next time and work on his robes, and if I've decided what colour our little owl was going to be, I'll work on that. So I hope you enjoyed watching that and listening to my ramblings and a slight tiny bit of a review of the Amazon Basics pencils. Yeah, sort of happy with them. They work okay. You can't layer tremendously well. The colours are pretty bright. But this paper is fairly smooth, I know that, so I think they might be a tad too hard for the paper. I might try them on a slightly rougher paper to get a better idea, but so far, yeah, working pretty well. I think I'll stick with them to try and finish this picture, because that was the original idea. So I hope you enjoyed watching, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you in future videos. Bye!